In the perpetual meantime of a sheltered eternity, most are content to live and not to dream. But in the hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall, there are those who dream of dreaming.
Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall?
Nordcry just revealed the identity of the third descender and his connection to the Tsaritsa. And it also shines new light on the Pale Princess and the Six Pygmies, which I believe describes the story of the sinners and the Tsaritsa's involvement. I will even tell you where the third descender is located at this moment. During one of the New World quests, you can obtain the book series Hymn of the Far North. It describes prayers to Celestia with new ancient names for the gods. It's very interesting that the prayer for Asmodee is missing. But that's not all. Nibelung is mentioned, and we get confirmation that the Voyager and the First Angel really were married. In this prayer, their names are Koitor, the goddess of the Dawnstar, and Sutovoinen, apostle of the Far North. Dawnstar, by the way, is a reference to Lucifer, who himself was a fallen angel who opposed God. Now, in the next prayer, we learn about a man called Saarelainen. He was a cheerful, fair, kind-hearted lad, noble-born and nobly raised, gentle and valiant. He rode across the forsaken Isle of Hisi and the dark, mist-shrouded lands of Pojola. Don't worry, we will learn shortly what place that is. He wanted to marry the daughter of Pakaisuko, who would only agree under one condition. Saarelainen shall open the gates of Pojola for him. Although Saarelainen knew it was a trap, he went anyway, so that the daughter would not be punished. When he finally arrived in Pojola, the Lord of Seven Calamities carved him into 7 pieces. Pakaisuko's daughter would never marry afterwards. These 7 pieces are very likely the Gnosis, meaning Saarelainen was the third descender, and Pojola is an ancient name for Celestia. The young daughter is the Tsaritsa, Archon of Love. It explains why her heart turned cold, why she hates Celestia, and ultimately why she's so obsessed with gathering the Gnosis. I very much believe she will try to resurrect her lost lover. Maybe she will use the unique powers of the Traveler to combine the Gnosis and revert the elements back into the original light element. This could trigger Verdofalni's prediction of ascending, implying light powers grants us access to Godhood and Celestia, giving us a chance to fight them together with the revenge-seeking Tsaritsa. If you enjoyed this video so far, please leave a like and subscribe. We also have to go back to the book The Pale Princess and the Six Pygmies. This book was given to us by Lisa as part of Mondstadt's story. The Abyss Order was very interested in it because it contains a secret. Although we only have 1 chapter officially in the game, the other volumes were datamined. A fairy tale story that has been told throughout Teyvat for ages. This installment tells of the meeting of the Pale Princess and the Light Prince. The Tsaritsa very likely is the Pale Princess here, while Saarelainen is described as Prince of Light, which makes perfect sense because if he is a being of light, dividing him would create the 7 elements which derive from light. The monarch of this kingdom was a beautiful princess with skin as white as snow, just like the moon. She had the brightest skin, the purest eyes, and the kindest soul. People of the kingdom all vowed their loyalty to her. She was a kind and gentle ruler. To her, the silvery moon hanging in the night sky seemed like a tiny hole through which light could pass, and she felt that by following the light back to its source, one could almost see the world on the other side. Will I be able to bring my people there one day? The princess turned and saw a young prince. He introduces himself as Prince of the Kingdom of Light from the other side of the world. He shone with extraordinary light, and life grew wherever he went. This sounds almost like Kemia to me, the technique of creating life that Rheindotter uses. Having sworn to save the people of the Moonlight Forest, they both went to the land of night, which is most likely Khaenri'ah. Here, they encounter 6 pygmies. One of them is deformed, one of them is blind, one is timid, one is foolish, one is in a withered garden, and one is carefree. We can very easily assign them to the Sinners and Dainsleif. The only one that maybe is a stretch is Raria, but I found this quote here. I was out for a walk and somehow got trapped here. We know something happened to him being trapped with the Wild Hunt and his body being destroyed into pieces, so maybe that's a hint. Now that you are all my people, please let me take you to the Kingdom of Light. It's a place that can bring sight to the blind, wisdom to the foolish, courage to the timid, and reinvigoration to the shrunken. As a princess, this is my gesture of gratitude to you." Here we already see the possible connection between the Tsaritsa and Khaenri'ah and why the cataclysm was such an important event for her. On the surface, the 6 pygmies were true to the princess and prince and followed them everywhere, but there were still heinous creatures from the land of night, and corruption flowed in their veins. As the days traveling to the Kingdom of Light grew long and dangerous, the root of evil would again blossom in their hearts. Fear gave root to malice, and out of malice grew evil scheming. The 6 pygmies started to devise their nasty plot. This probably describes how the people of Khaenri'ah were drawn to forbidden knowledge, which corrupted them. There was one pygmy who did not join the discussion. This is not because he was not evil, but because the guilt of betraying his savior overcame his wicked nature enough to make him keep his mouth shut. He couldn't even say a single word. And here we see how Dainsleif began to question the ways of the other sinners. He felt guilty about their evil plans of poisoning the prince. The 6 pygmies carried out their scheme successfully, but just as the culprits were enjoying their feast, the prince's broken soul used up all its remaining power to curse the pygmies. For the rest of their lives, they were tormented by a curse that made them feel as if they were being cooked in a huge cooking pot, unable to ever see the light of day again. Now, first of all, Skirk mentioned that the gnosis are not blessings, but much rather curses, and them not being able to see light again means the sinners are consumed and bound by the abyss.
Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects of misfortune to prevent any disasters from befalling you. To live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies, the bonds he once had with this world shall all turn to curses.
However, during the celebration, one of the pygmies wrapped the prince in the dirty tablecloth, intent on carrying him back to the dark forest to seek help from the princess, hoping to wake him up. Now, the description of Saarelainen being carved into 7 pieces is ambiguous. It could mean that his soul was split, leaving his body intact, but maybe we shouldn't take this part too literal. Dainsleif took the prince's body and searched for the fountain of purity where the pale princess slept. But as he arrived, the Night Mother appeared, who already took away the princess and corrupted the fountain. "That foolish princess is now in chains. I destroyed the Moonlight Kingdom and cursed her people before her eyes. They will be in an undead state, lingering at the point between life and death forevermore. No soul and no moonlight." This undead state sounds a lot like the Curse of Wilderness, which we see with the Hilly Churls that the Khaenri'ahs turned into. "In thousands of years' time, my greatest foe will descend. He wields a sword that heralds the dawn and wears armor that can reflect the shining sunlight. He shall destroy my kingdom and bring the prince back to life. The princess will then be free from her eternal torment. Until then, I fear not a single soul in the land of night, for nothing will bring an end to my kingdom except for the catastrophe foretold by the prophecy. As for you, the treacherous slave that poisoned his master, fate shall see that you get what you deserve." This has to be about the Traveler, confirming we will resurrect Saarelainen and free the Tsaritsa from her pain. To me it feels as if this Night Mother is either one of the Shades or the Primordial One himself. Devastated, the pygmy wandered around in sorrow and regret. He hid the body in a tree hole and walked off alone into the night and into a self-imposed exile. Again, very clearly Dainsleif. If it's true that the body is hidden in a tree hole, I could very well imagine it being hidden in an Irminsul tree in his home, Khaenri'ah. King Irmin is connected to Odin, who lost an eye because he obtained forbidden knowledge by drinking out of the Well of Wisdom, located underneath the world tree Yggdrasil. King Irmin likely lost his eye the same way to gain abyss knowledge, meaning Khaenri'ah had a tree or otherwise access to the roots of Irminsul. Nicole and Dainsleif both refer to Khaenri'ah as the corners of the world, very similar to what the loading screen says about Irminsul.
In the perpetual meantime of a sheltered eternity, most are content to live and not to dream. But in the hidden corners where the god's gaze does not fall, there are those who dream of dreaming.
Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall?